Good morning. Today is the 28th of April 2022, and it marks a remarkable day in our country's history, and not only here, internationally. We celebrate the International Girls' Day in ICT, a program that was started by the United Nations 10 years ago and has been celebrated worldwide and has reached almost 350,000 girls over the period of time. At Kishugu Business School, we are excited to host our second hashtag Imbombela Talks based on this theme. As we entered into the business school leadership and management institution, we have really understood that in this part of the world, ICT education needs a lot to be done and a lot to be taken care of. And it is in that interest that we took the opportunity to call in the ICT educators from around our area and also some of the local partners who are leaders already in the ICT field to come and share with the young girls how ICT can benefit. Today we have got three themes that's going on. One is the gender diversity in the ICT sector. The second one would be how to take ICT into the classroom. And thirdly, what are the opportunities that ICT presents, not necessarily to girls only, but to the younger generation that comes up. We also take this opportunity to thank the team Burflum under the leadership of the principal of Burflum School and also all the other principals who took the initiative to send their children and their ICT educators to this program. I am sure that you will enjoy each of our speakers and gain a lot from it. Hashtag Imbombela Talks continues to provide thought leadership in every sector of the academia and definitely thereby bringing industry closer to academia. Thank you very much. Sit back and enjoy.
Program directors, the director of Kishugu, distinguished guests, and the young people in this house. It's a privilege and honor for me to be part of this gathering. And more so because those that know me, I always say I've had enough of attending events where we celebrate women. All because I haven't been hearing the voices of young women and girls. So being here today says that my wish and advocacy for seeing more women taking up leadership positions and leadership roles in society is actually getting there. I'm even more challenged having seen the young woman representing the principal of the school and saying, Amanda, young people, Amanda.
Very true.
Yes, and thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. I am hoping that I will meet the expectation. When I was invited, when I got the invitation, indeed, mine was to say which aspect of ICT for young girls should I be talking about, because there are so many diverse issues that are affecting young girls. And I should say that I felt inspired because in one of the discussions I had with Mam Punzile while she was still with United Nations last year, she raised an issue that she was concerned that she was not seeing young girls, especially in South Africa, in two spaces. One, it was with regards to climate change, and secondly, it was with regards to ICT. So here we are today. I think we are not only just really celebrating this day alone, but it is an international event, and here we are really getting into the space as Mpumalanga, to say the least. So I'm happy to be part of this session. I will go through to my presentation. Indeed, it's Girls in ICT. Now, we try and align ourselves with the young people. They always talk hashtag. So this is a hashtag Girls in ICT, and it's all about empowerment of women and girls through ICT. In my presentation, I really would try and be very practical. I like telling stories, and I will try and share my presentation relating to what is happening on the ground. My presentation seeks really to mainstream gender and promote gender equality. When they said I'm an advocate of gender equality, I mean it. At work, when they say something, they say, oh God, Brenda is going to say something now that we have excluded women. But these days, mine is exclusion of young girls. Especially then I'll be advocating this in the space of ICT. Why then are we talking about this subject matter? We want to encourage girls and young women to consider studies and careers in the ICT sector. We haven't seen them. It is therefore encouraging to see this house being filled with young girls. Young women, I would really want to see them not just taking up space. Let's not be numbers. Let's not be just statistics. Let us take significant roles in whatever we get involved into. So I would want to advocate and use this presentation to encourage young women to take up leadership roles, both in business and in work. I often, really, those that know me, I say I don't want to get into any meeting and go out unrecognized. And I want girls to have that with them. Gender equality could benefit women participation in ICT towards achieving development goals. We are not just talking about ICT now in terms of saying we want girls to be part of ICT. It is actually a United Nations objective. It is listed in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that it is a must for every country to ensure that girls participate in the ICT sector. Therefore, good young people, we are here not just to celebrate this day today only, but we want to advocate, and we will continue even after today to have dialogues with yourselves, to invite you to be part of this TED Talk, which is what my good friend Thomas often said. The presentation that I will be talking about, I really love studying. If I'm not doing a 2-day short course, it must be some webinar that I'm attending every day. Learning is power. Therefore, as I give this presentation, it draws on an academic research that I am doing. And it's a qualitative research method that I'm using in my research. I love qualitative research. They will pardon me, the lecturers from the MP who are here, who believe in numbers. I believe in talking lived experiences of people, because that becomes reality. And I am happy that we are here today, not talking about what we read in books, but I will be talking about what I have discussed with other people who are in the sector. And it is encouraging for me to be here because it will also form part of my studies, that we had a gathering with young girls who said these are their challenges in terms of really taking up space in the ICT sector. So by being here today, my girls and boys, I will actually make sure that you contribute to my study, which is an international study, actually, I should indicate. So the study that I am doing with the University of Northampton in the United Kingdom is actually really covering issues of gender diversity. And gender diversity has been very low in the science, technology, engineering, maths sector. So when I presented my proposal, it was actually very attractive and approved, because they said, wow, you want to really make change in a space that we are all concerned about globally. So the absence of young girls, of girls in particular, in the ICT sector, it's a global problem. And it starts at school. Because if you have not participated and developed your competencies in ICT while you're still young, forget that you'll be able to master it when you are old like me. Like I indicated, it's a UN goal, and it's actually more particular when we are talking about generation equality. We have really tried. We have done so much during our time when we had Beijing 40 years ago. And no country has actually said they have achieved gender equality. Therefore, today we are saying, can we pass on the baton to the young ones? Which is why even the United Nations is saying, when we talk ICT development, let us talk generational equality. Let us close the gap between what we failed to do and give it to the young people to now make the change. So you are sitting here, you are actually having a big responsibility, because it will no longer be us going out there to talk about ICT but yourselves. I therefore invite you and encourage every young person that is in the house today to really take the presentations that will be shared with you very seriously, so that you can go out and share with others. Where are we? Where do we find ourselves? As I've indicated, the analysts have indicated that ICT-related jobs are very dominant. You know why they are dominant. In the advent of COVID-19, it became clear that our lives need to change and go digital. Now the jobs are there. So you can't be out of that space. We cannot really encourage the tech talk, because it has been indicated that most of the job offers are emanated by this sector. But unfortunately, a bulk of these positions is preserved for men. Where are we? The world is moving fast indeed into the digital space. We cannot leave our young women behind. We cannot continue crying out loud that young girls are being marginalized, especially when we have events like this one today. The numbers talk for themselves, and when I look at the statistics, it really spoils my interest. But it also encourages me to fight more, and this is the spirit I want to instill in you today. Women hold 19% of technology-related jobs at the world top technology companies, which are all Microsoft, you know, the big ones. Only 19%. And only 20% of them are in leadership positions. So all that we do is to go there and help someone just fix an IT problem, and that's what we are hired for as girls. There are only few that are in the leadership, holding leadership roles. So I want to encourage girls today to say, let us just not be a statistics in a sector, but a change maker and a leader for that matter. Now, if we have 28% of the young women being in leadership positions in these high-profile companies, on the other hand, 68% are men. 95% of that 65 are managers. Is that fair? What have we done wrong? We have not gotten ourselves into the space. There is an assertion, therefore, that in the sector, we have not done well in terms of gender diversity, in terms of balancing. And boys, we are not saying girls should compete with yourselves. All we are saying is that when boys see these opportunities, they should also ensure that they share with their sister. Let's have the equal opportunities shared. So South Africa is not unique. It's even in a worse situation, I should tell you. And which is why the academic research that I'm doing, the topic is examining mentorship programs for leadership positions for young girls. How can we mentor young girls to take up leadership positions? I'm looking at which would be the best way. And I cannot sit here and do it on my own. I will be told by yourselves as to what is holding you to be able to take up this leadership position, so that as I develop this model, it is practical and talks to you. Hashtag Girls in ICT. I've indicated I will make it live. The presentation that I will do, I will make it live by sharing with you a lived experience, an interview that I have had with some of the women already so far in the ICT sector. First of all, so it's not academic. Don't tell me I read in book so and so. I will tell you that I spoke to Zanele, who works for Microsoft. I spoke to Sihle, who is with the Department of Communications. It's lived experience, it's real issues. So it is clear so far that the findings of my study indicate that gender inequalities exist. We need to address that. Women are confronted with so many challenges, which is just a summary of this. I know that my other colleagues who will be talking on ICT will really expand, which is why I'm just making a summary here. The digital divide, discrimination, lack of digital expertise, it can be. And I have seen it. I have a problem with my phone. When I give it to the boy at home, he quickly fixes the problem. I give it to the girl, we struggle a little bit, such that whenever I have a problem that is technologically related, I give it to the boy. Automatically, I discriminate. That's what we need to address. These are the questions to show you that the problem is real. I ask the participants in my interview, when did you study ICT? Because they are already in ICT. They are working for companies in ICT sector. When did you study ICT and what was your field at school? Because I'm trying to find out which university they went to. And the response is, you think I studied ICT? Majority of those that I have interviewed that are in the ICT companies, it has been by default that they are there. They say it's either someone invited me for a job interview on business management, and then they put me on ICT, and then I was helping the guy who fixes computers, and then I got into this leading position. It is not a conscious decision. And then I will go on, how did you get into the ICT sector? Like I've indicated, no straight answer. I tell you, the one lady which fascinated me, she said, oh, I was just going to pick my certificate at university because I had been told I had passed, and I was just hitchhiking because I was coming from Guyana and going to Johannesburg to pick up my certificate. And in the lift that I got, the guy was carrying a cell phone company, and I had not seen a cell phone. Cell phones were new at that time. She says instead of talking to the driver, she was fascinated by the cell phone and kept looking at this gadget. Remember, she's from the rural areas. She says she was so much fascinated by the gadget that the gentleman asked her, do you want to come and work for Vodacom? And that is how she got involved in the ICT sector. First, rural. Two, no exposure in ICT at all. So clearly, the interviewee coming from the rural areas was highly disadvantaged. She didn't even know a cell phone, had never used a cell phone. So people in the rural areas are even more disadvantaged than those in the urban areas. A girl child in rural areas is even the most deprived. That's the first finding of the study. So I asked her, how has been the journey to leadership? Because now this is a lady who's working with the minister and they are rolling out the broadband. So I'm saying, definitely you must be a leader. How did you become a leader, especially in terms of support? Was there anyone mentoring you? I tell you, there is no mentorship for girls in the sector. Because it is assumed that we know, and really, it's not so. Now, she says, I was fortunate enough, I was expecting my first child and I was walking at the mall, and here was Minister Kasamburi, who was looking at this young girl moving around, and she communicated with her and she took her under her wing. Now, definitely, there is a need for mentorship for young women in the sector. And I then ask her a follow-up question. Why do you say that the mentorship came from outside of the sector? So don't expect that when you get into the ICT sector, you will have support ready-made for you. You will have to rely on external people to also assist you. It is not an easy journey. So I asked her, why is that so? She says, because already there are very few women in the ICT sector. So if you get into a company and work for Microsoft, for instance, don't think you will find 4 or 5 girls. And for us girls, I know, if I don't have a friend who is a girl, already my confidence is low. Therefore, all we are saying is that you should try and really build your networks in such a way that they can help you to also have support. I will not lie, the issue of race is also an issue. Now, this lady was indicating that we also, as South Africa, it's a community, it's a sector that is predominantly white. But we should not think that getting an opportunity has a race cap on it. So they are saying for the educators, for those who are actually recruiting, they should be conscious of the fact that there will definitely be a difference between a child that is coming from a rural area, but also the race has an implication. It's a matter of us being conscious of those issues. The study is not about race, but it's about looking at all the factors that can affect a child participating in the sector. I then asked I usually ask the participants as to give me the programs that I can refer young girls to use to encourage them to get into the sector. Like I indicated, this lady would say, look, if there is a legislation, if there is a program that is supporting young girls, it's mainly for compliance. That they would say, oh, we did support young girls. There is therefore a need for us to develop programs that support young girls. Days like celebration of the girl child in ICT like today, we really need to make them meaningful. Mr. Thomas, thank you very much for really having brought the celebration of this day in Mpumalanga. It is such programs, not just the legislation, that will make it easy for girls to know what the opportunities are. I only have 5 minutes. The one question that I would also want to share, I asked this lady as to whether, what is her view with regards to gender diversity and leadership in the sector. She says, you will definitely find very few women leaders in the sector. Giving an example of herself, she said, I have been recycled When I'm just about to get into an executive position, I get moved to another division within ICT. And I get excited that I have been moved, but I forget that if I could stay in the one role, I was just closer to getting a higher position. So definitely those are all the challenges that we have as why we do not see more young girls taking up space. These are the identified challenges. One of my colleagues will talk about those challenges. The findings of the study indicate this is for us now that have to really find solutions. Every study needs to make recommendations. I am already saying we need to ensure that we bring more stakeholders to assist in the support and development of young girls in the ICT sector. For us as the Mentorship Academy, indeed we'll be working with Kishuku Business School, but we want to invite other companies to join us, the academia for instance. We are calling out mostly for mentorship of young girls. I will not go more into the others except to emphasize that even the mentorship has not worked of late because people think that mentorship is about Brenda having a discussion with the head girl. No, we want mentorship programs that will really transform, that will really be measurable. Because if a mentor if you are interested in getting into the ICT sector, even as a young girl now, please try and get a mentor, someone who is already in ICT, who will be able to transform you practically to see these opportunities and work towards them at the young age as we speak. The benchmark with other countries, I will not dwell much with that except to indicate that it will help to what has worked in other countries is providing female role models. I hope the ladies that you will be seeing here today are an indication that it is possible. We will have to organize continuously mentoring sessions, career guidance sessions, and study fairs. And I'm emphasizing this, the workshops, and I hope Kishuku will be planning a number of workshops. As I indicated, I said we are not meeting here today just to celebrate the International Day of Young Girls in ICT, but we need to develop continuous programs, and I am sure that my other colleagues will be presenting will also expand on these areas. This is how we can be conducted as the Mentorship Academy. I have a team of mentees that can share more information with you in terms of what the Mentorship Academy is all about. In closing, I will also invite them to stand up to indicate that the Mentorship Academy is already operational and has mentees who are gaining much more experience out of participating. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Program Director, and once again, thanks for the invitation.